It is the most wonderful time of the year, or is it? Nearly a quarter of Americans reported feeling extreme stress. In fact, a poll done by the American Psychological Association showed that 69% of people felt very stressed because of the lack of time, lack of money, and the pressure of gift giving. It's a lot of people. So my name is Becky Lauritsen, and I am a licensed professional counselor and the founder of IOME. It's an IOME instead of an IOU, where the purpose is to create guilt-free self-care. I wanted to create this course, this training, if you will, for holiday stress management, but not just how to manage the stress that comes with the holiday season, but more importantly, how can we prevent holiday stress? So that's the purpose. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about what it looks like to be experiencing holiday stress, and I'm really going to focus on a couple of the other factors that can be playing a role in it, because it can be more than just typical holiday stress between the time and the money and the shopping and the cleaning and all those things. So I'm going to identify a couple of other factors that play a significant role, and then we're going to dive deep into creating and completing this worksheet that you were able to receive as well. So thank you so much for being part of this. I truly hope and pray that this training will better your holiday season. Good. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So like I said, I want to dive into some outside factors that can play a role, because if you are dealing with anything like I'm going to mention here in a second, you aren't going to be able to simply deal with holiday stress as easily as some other people. So the first thing that can play a role in extreme holiday stress is what's called seasonal affective disorder. So we've heard of the winter blues, or perhaps you're like, oh, I'm always depressed when it comes to the winter time, right? I think you've heard that, or somebody that you know, I'm sure, has said that to you. It's real, and there is such thing as seasonal affective disorder. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that, because if you're experiencing SAD, then it's more than just the holiday stress, and I want you to be able to get the help that you need, so that way you can alleviate the depressive symptoms and in fact enjoy your holiday season, but more than that, just the rest of the winter, right? Okay, so seasonal affective disorder is a type of depression that's related to changes in seasons. So of course it's going to be more prevalent. It's going to be more common from the fall to the winter seasons. There is in fact some cases of spring and summer seasons, but obviously more common with the winter months. So some signs and symptoms. So just be listening closely to see if this is anything that relates to you. And again, that way you can get the help and support that you need. So some of the symptoms of SAD is going to be feeling depressed most of the day and almost every day. Okay, so we can always have depressive symptoms here and there, but it's dependent on if it's most of the day and going to be most every day. Okay, if you're feeling lost in you're not experiencing activities as well as you once did. So you're not enjoying them, the things that you used to do. You're losing interest in the things that once brought you joy. That could be an indicator. You're having low energy. You're having sleep disturbances. Maybe you're sleeping too much or maybe not enough. You could be experiencing changes in your weight, significant weight gain or significant weight loss. That could be an indicator. If you're feeling sluggish or agitated, again, most of the day, most every day. And then if you're having difficulty concentrating, most of the day as well. Of course, then these are going to be the most important indicators to be looking out for, and that's going to be if you're feeling any sense of hopelessness. This is a really big indicator, and it can be really scary as well. So I say that now, so that way if you have heightened stress during the holiday season, but if it's associated with any kind of hopelessness or any end of life thoughts, self-harm thoughts, suicidal ideation, please immediately get the support you need. If you're not sure what that looks like or how to, call me, text me, email me. I am happy to be the person that can fill that gap for you, and either work with you myself or find somebody that will be able to work with you. Okay, deal, promise, pinky swear you're going to get the support you need if you've had any of these symptoms I was just saying. Okay. So quickly, some of the causes of this can be as simple as It gets dark at 4:30. We're here in Fort Collins, Colorado, northern Colorado. That's where I'm at, and so it is dark early, and it's colder, and we just don't get as much sunshine. So that can actually play a big role in seasonal affective disorder, just so you know. There's some treatments for sure for this that can help alleviate the depressive symptoms and then again alleviating the holiday stress. It can be as simple as including a phototherapy. So that would be also a light therapy. I was just at Bed Bath and Beyond the other day, and they in fact have those there. I've heard great things about it from my clients that have been utilizing it. So that could be something you really think about and utilizing just to get some more of that sunshine even in the dead of winter. Okay. And then of course it's going to be the therapy. As a licensed counselor, I cannot stress this enough. I am such an advocate for seeking that additional help, even if it's for a short-term period of time. A couple of weeks is all. It doesn't matter as long as you can get that support you need and let a professional be able to guide you through these depressive symptoms. Okay. Okay, enough of that topic. Moving on, I want to talk about another significant factor that can play a role in holiday stress: bereavement and grief. Okay, so if you have lost a loved one, I don't care if it's 20 years ago or 2 weeks ago, it can very much play a role in holiday stress, because what happens during the holidays, we spend time with our loved ones, we cherish those moments, and if one of your loved ones has died, then of course you're going to be feeling that grief and bereavement very present. So keep that in mind. I'm going to share some tips on this. So if this has nothing to do with you, you can fast forward for a few minutes. Or maybe you know somebody that's going through some grief during the holiday seasons. So just maybe jot down some of these notes for your own good, or maybe you could support somebody else that may be going through this as well, okay? Um, One of the things that you can do to really support the bereavement and grief and during the holiday season especially is just remembering that grief is part of the healing process. You are not going to be able to go through this period, any period of grief, without feeling it and recognizing it. So it's part of the healing process, and it will look different for every person. There is no right way or wrong way to grieve. Okay. Set healthy boundaries. Okay, say no when you need to say no. Avoid things that you know is going to be a negative trigger for you. Make sure you set those boundaries. Focus on what you can control. There's going to always be the factor of what you can control and what you cannot control. And if, for instance, just holiday decorations are going to be a negative trigger for you because your loved one was so involved with that process, then you're not going to be able to control going to the mall and not seeing holiday decorations, okay? Christmas has thrown up all over the mall, so it's going to be everywhere. But you can control whether or not you shop online. Does that make sense? So I hope that does make sense, and I hope that you can focus on what you can control and what you cannot control, and take advantage of the stuff that you can. Okay, have a plan. Have a plan. So if you know that going to a holiday party perhaps could cause you emotion or cause you negative emotion, especially, make sure you have like an escape plan. Make sure that you have already kind of thought this through. Okay, I'm going to show up, I'm going to do my best. But if I start to feel emotional, if I start to feel anxiety, if I start to feel stressed, etc., then I am just going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to leave, right? Have that plan so that way you can commit to the plan and you're already prepared. Next is welcome a range of emotions. It's inevitable that you will feel grief and sadness and maybe some anger, but you may also feel joy and laughter in moments. And so when you feel those, I challenge you and I invite you to welcome them in. Feel that joy, feel the happiness, okay, when it does come. Okay, find a way to honor their memories. Do something different. Find a way to honor their memories. Eat their favorite meal, perhaps, or light a candle. Do something that could really cherish that memory. And then the next one is to create new traditions. So the biggest piece of any bereavement and grief is to find the new normal. What does that look like for you? What's it going to feel like? You get to create that, as challenging as it is, but it's really important that you do find the next new normal. Okay. Do something kind for others. It is shown that sharing or giving can be really healing during the bereavement period. And then lastly, seek support from a counselor, for somebody, a professional, because I'll be honest, this time of year is probably when I'm at my busiest with therapy clients coming in, because oftentimes we are at our max. We're at the brink of the breaking point, and so people do schedule their therapy sessions now, which is great. I want to be able to support them anytime. So know that this can be a big part of your tools in your bereavement period. Okay. This could be a whole course in itself, grief and bereavement around the holidays. So if this is a trigger for you, if this is relevant to you, please reach out and let me know, and I'm happy to go into more detail or refer you to somebody that can really support you in this, okay? Okay, let's get back to the basics, right? Let's get back to holiday stress specifically. So I want you to think about, are you one of them that gets stressed out because of the time, because of the money, because of the gift giving, because of the cleaning, because of the cooking, the organizing, the spending time with extended family, spending time with in-laws? If these are some of those triggers, I understand. And it's very normal. In fact, you could actually have all of those, and all of those could be contributing to overall stress. So, not only is that going to cause some of these, and maybe one or maybe all, not only are they going to cause emotional stress, right? The emotional effects, but it could also cause physical effect too. So, there's something called the psychosomatic effect, and that means basically our emotions, what we emotionally feel, can actually be felt physically. So what happens is if we hold on to the stress, the fatigue, the anxiety, etc., if we hold on to those, they will manifest in a physical way. So symptoms of that could look like headaches, stomach aches, back pain. Let's see, trouble sleeping, aching muscles, short temper, loss of appetite, increased appetite. So all of these physical factors could very much be playing a role because of the emotional piece. So just recognize that. And when you think back to previous holidays, so even pause this if you'd like to, and I want you to think back to last holiday season, okay? Last Thanksgiving, last Christmas, the New Year, etc. Think back. I hope when you do that you're immediately bombarded by happy memories and joy and laughter. But I want you to dig a little deeper and recognize if there's anything else. If you're recognizing some stress or anger, depressive symptoms, anxiety, fear. And then I want you to recognize what caused those emotions. Okay, it's a cause and effect. What caused the stress? Was it the lack of time? Was it the lack of money? Was it spending time with a family member that you feel obligated to, but you don't necessarily want to? What was it? And maybe jot down a little list if you'd like to, because that could be really powerful and helpful in what we're going to be doing today. So just recognizing some of those triggers, okay? And then recognize how you dealt with those. What were your symptoms? Did you have back pain throughout the holiday season? Were you faced with a lot of stomach issues? Recognize what it is, and then that way we can really have a beautiful problem solving tool to be able to reduce that this year, okay? Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the worksheet. I hope that you are able to print this out because I want you to take the time and fill this out. So if you need to, pause me and go ahead and print this out so we can complete it together, okay? So what we're going to do is go ahead and start to tackle this holiday stress management worksheet. I'm actually going to share my screen so that way you see it as well. Just one second. Okay, perfect. So you should see that as you see me as well here. Okay, perfect. Okay, so IOMI, very much, if you haven't heard this yet, we believe the mission behind IOMI is prevention, because we want to prevent the stress, prevent the depression, prevent the anxiety, prevent the suicidal ideation, right? We want to prevent that. And I believe that we can do that through knowledge, awareness, and preparation. So let's prepare, let's learn, okay? Let's become aware. And that's what this worksheet's all about. So first of all, you are going to identify the people that you want to celebrate with, okay? That's this section right here. Who are you going to want to celebrate this holiday with? Obviously, this is going to be your kids, your partner, maybe a best friend, maybe your in-laws, maybe your immediate family. Who are those people that you truly want to surround yourself with this holiday season? It's not necessarily for the day of Christmas. It's going to be kind of just in general, okay? So listen closely. I am giving you permission to not spend time with those that are going to drain you. Okay. If you have an Aunt Sally who drains you and is incredibly negative and critical and frustrating, and even thinking about having her around in the holidays is going to stress you out, I'm giving you permission to not invite her. Okay. Now, I realize that sometimes we have no choice because mom might make us invite Aunt Sally to the holiday party. And so I understand that. But if you do have control over it, I challenge you and I give you permission to make that decision. Make that decision on what is best for you. But even deeper than that, it is so easy to please everybody, to want to please everyone, right? It's easy to want to invite everyone, to buy a gift for everyone, include everyone, etc. But you just can't. You simply cannot. So that's why we are focused on who you want to be on this list, okay? Because remember, if you were to invite Aunt Sally, not only is she going to negatively affect you, right? You're going to feel more stressed out. It's going to be it may increase your temper, etc. Not only is that going to happen, but you have to remember that's going to affect your loved ones. Your stress, your temper, your anger, your emotion will indeed affect the ones you love the most, like your kids, like your husband, your wife, your partner. Okay, so not only is this for the betterment of you, but it is in fact for the betterment of everybody. Okay, okay. Pause if you need to. Complete that list of who you want to celebrate holiday with. Who are the most important people during this time? Okay, moving right along. We're going to talk about the traditional holiday activities. So this is where we're going to come up with your to-do list. This is the planning ahead. This is the preparation piece. So I just wrote down a handful of traditional holiday activities, pretty common ones for sure. And what I want you to do is to have a process of elimination here, because often I think that I typically am like, I want to do all the things. It sounds so much fun. Somebody will tell me this great idea that they do this one thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I should add that to my list. No, let's be clear, my list is plenty long. I don't need to add that. In fact, I need to probably take some things off of my list. So look at this list here, everything from Elf on the Shelf to if you're going to cut down your Christmas tree or not, okay? And what I want you to do first and foremost is cross off the ones that have no interest, that you do not want to do. In fact, it drains you. It's a negative trigger. It's just not fun at all. So you're going to first cross all of these things, the things that you do not want to do, off of your list, okay? And then once you have completed that, you're going to circle the ones that are non-negotiable. You're going to circle the ones that bring you the most joy, okay? Like when you think about going to a local Christmas performance, you are lit up, you are excited, you're so in love with that activity, okay? That's the one that you're going to circle. Okay. And then from there, you may have a few that aren't crossed off that and are also not circled. And so these are going to be the ones that you, if you have time, great, you could do. If you don't have time, it won't be the end of the world. I don't want you to be stressed out thinking you have to do all of the things, right? So that's the point of that activity. The next thing that's very relevant to what we just did is going to be writing those things down. So the next section is the activities that you want to do. What are those things that lift you up, that light you up, that get you so excited? When you just think about it, you're feeling butterflies and excitement. Those are the ones that you're going to write down. And so there may be different things that aren't on that list, of course. And so make sure that you write those down in that section. So focusing on what you want to do, not what society says you should do, okay? Not what social media shows that somebody's doing, but what is it that you want to do? Okay, moving right along. The next section is the activities that your loved ones want to do. Now remember, your loved ones are the people that you wrote up here. These are the opinions that matter to you, not Aunt Sally. Okay, I hope you don't actually have an Aunt Sally. If you do, I apologize. I'm sure she's awesome. Anyways, so here's where you're going to have a conversation with your loved ones and say, hey, what means the most to you this holiday season? This is the key of this is to not assume, okay? We do not want you to assume that that your kids absolutely have to have homemade cinnamon rolls from scratch. I could probably bet that they don't care if they're homemade. I would imagine that they just care that they're yummy and that they get to spend time with you while they eat them. Okay, so really don't assume what people may want, what your loved ones may want. Ask them. Okay, have a conversation, even if it doesn't quite align with yours, but have an in-depth conversation with them about what they want to do. Okay? Okay, so that will be something that you'll probably do after this video with your loved one. Okay, moving right along. So based on those answers, we're going to come up with the priority to-do list. Okay, this is the non-negotiable. This is what you and your loved ones, the people that you're surrounding yourself with this holiday season, are deciding to do. Okay, this is what you're going to put in your calendar. This is what you're going to budget for, what you're going to plan for, what you're going to rearrange for, etc. Okay, so 2 key points here is you have to look at your calendar already. So if you know that you have to work X amount of time, what days do you get off for the holidays, and really try to take this perspective and make sure that you're setting realistic and fair expectations for yourself and your loved ones. Know what your holiday budget is. That could be an entire training in itself. But make sure you know what your budget is so that way you can say yes to the things that fit in your budget and no to the things that don't. I'm not going to lie, I would love to spend my Christmas and holiday season on the beach in Hawaii. Right now, the budget does not allow for that. So that's not going to be on my to-do list because I'm not going to add anything on there that is going to stress me out. Okay? Okay. So from there, that's the big compromise piece that you're going to have a conversation with your loved ones. And that's where if your partner says, it's very important to me that we cut down the Christmas tree ourselves and you want an artificial Christmas tree, you're going to have to compromise. And so have a conversation and figure that out together. And that way you have clear expectations on what to do now. Okay? Okay. So holiday coping skills. No matter how planned the plan is, you may still experience stress, right? So we're going to cover a handful of these coping skills that you can implement during the holiday season. It is so easy for us the minute that we start to get busy, to quit our self-care routine, to quit our coping skills, to stop exercising because, gosh, I just don't have time to do that anymore, right? That's when you need to implement these coping skills even more. It's going to be more important to implement them. So a few of these are very self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on each one. You can very much read that yourself, but the biggest one here is going to be self-care as a whole. And if you know me for a second, you know that self-care is my soapbox. And I'm not talking about the bubble bath and the glass of wine, although that's good and definitely part of self-care, but I'm talking about the uncomfortable self-care, the exercising regularly, the waking up an hour early so that way you can have quiet time and you can pray or meditate or journal, or the kind of uncomfortable self-care where you say no to somebody, or the kind of uncomfortable self-care where you ask for help or you seek a therapist. Okay, those are the kinds of things I talk about when I mention self-care. So a few of these are listed here in front of you, and then I've left blank lines for you to enter which ones are effective for you that may not be on the list. So quickly, I was just going to point out a couple of them to give more clarification. I think the biggest things here are asking for help and just saying no. No is a complete sentence. So if you do not want to go to the 12th holiday party in 1 week, then you can say no. You don't have to have an excuse. You don't have to feel obligated. You don't have to feel bad about it. Just simply say no. Ask for help. So if your kids are so passionate about making sure that you do have homemade from scratch cinnamon rolls, then ask for their help to do it. Okay. Sticking to a budget we talked about earlier, that's going to be critical that you create a budget on the front end and stick to it. Planning early. If you know, right, just above this portion here, right here, you have your priority to-do list. Now you can go ahead and plan that out. You can look at your calendar. You can identify when you're going to cut down the Christmas tree, when you're going to decorate Christmas cookies. Plan it. Make sure it's already done. Make sure that you're prepared for that. So that way, when it comes to the day that you're going to decorate your Christmas cookies, you can enjoy it fully. You're not running around, going to the grocery store last minute, right? By the way, I just discovered ClickList, and I'm so excited to utilize that this holiday season to avoid crowds, because that's a negative trigger for me. So if you haven't done that, there's my plug for it. Keep your leisure activities. So if you go and play basketball every Sunday afternoon, for one, your exercise, and two, it's just a fun time to go have fun with your friends, keep doing that. Keep doing those things, right? Because it's easy again for us to say, "Oh, I don't have time. I need to do all the things." But remember that those leisure activities that you're already committed to, your hobbies and hanging out with your friends, whatever it is, make sure that you realize that that is filling your cup. Not only is that just fun, but it's actually energizing you. It's helping you to relieve stress. So make sure you're still implementing those things. Okay, knowing your triggers, we talked briefly about that already, but recognize your positive triggers and your negative triggers. So if Christmas music puts you in a good mood and it gives you that holiday cheer and joy, great. Listen to it. If you do not like Christmas music, make sure you turn off your radio, okay? Try to avoid it when you can. So just recognize those things that energize you versus draining you. Okay, and then I think the last bit on this would just be, if you feel like you would benefit from further support, be willing to connect with myself or another mental health therapist. Maybe you've worked with one before and it's been a while since you've met with him or her. Call them up, see if they have any openings. Maybe just do a tune-up session, if you will, because truly this is going to be where you can experience so much relief from the support of a therapist or the support of a counselor, because that's our jobs. Like, I'm just so passionate about making sure that we can overcome the stigma of mental health. And oftentimes what keeps people from receiving mental health, from what I've heard, is not knowing how to go about finding one. And it can be, I don't know if you've ever Googled mental health therapy, counselors in Fort Collins. The list is daunting. There's a lot to choose from, and it can be very overwhelming if you don't know what you're looking for. So I'd be happy to help you through that process if you needed it. Okay. Okay. So lastly, I hope that you enjoyed this training. First of all, I hope that it added value to you and your loved ones, and then of course your holiday season. But I wanted to say thank you so much for checking this out and to hear me out and to understand my passion behind this. It's more than just preventing holiday stress. This is about loving this season and making the most of it, right? It is the most wonderful time of year, but it's up to you to keep it that way. Okay, so lastly, if you had any interest in anything that Iomi could help with, whether it's like, man, I really need some of that self care you were talking about, but I don't even know how to do that. Iomi offers different memberships to give you access to discounted self care. So if it's like, I could really use a massage and therapy, great. Maybe Iomi could be a good fit for you because now you could get discounted massages and discounted therapy and some discounted shopping for your holiday season too to help relieve that. So just know that there's a lot of options we have. My contact information is below. You can access that. Go on my website. Again, you can email me and feel free to contact me with any questions. But remember, it is the most wonderful time of year and it's up to you to keep it that way. Thank you guys.